know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy.
Alright guys, welcome to Communist Lo-Fi. Let's make a tier list of leftist content creators that you follow or listen to based on your level of political education. So let's start, D tier. D tier is the creators that are harmful, that hold dangerous and incorrect views on Marxism, that are in the leftist movement just to benefit themselves, who are usually hypocritical, liars, who promote other ideologies, who are related to fascist ideologies or liberalism, who have no conscience, basically. So let's start with the worst of them. I think Hassan Abi. I wasn't aware that this person, who he was or what he did, because I'm not American, so I'm not aware of all the content creators that you guys follow. But this guy is a millionaire, very, very successful as a streamer, and I came to know him thanks to a very good criticism from a channel called Socialism for All that they did on this guy Hassan Abi. Before that, I didn't know him, honestly. So he streams on Twitch, I think, and his content is terrible. I mean, this guy cannot talk for a minute without outing himself as a complete idiot. I saw a debate he had with Richard Wolff, and Hassan Abi came as a complete idiot, a person who has no knowledge of Marxist theory, who clearly hasn't read in depth any Marxist authors, is not familiar with the major works. I doubt this guy can quote a text from Lenin or Engels or anybody. He's more like a liberal leftist. That's the perception I got from his points of view, which are very liberal, pro-capitalist, disgusting human being, disgusting person. I think all he does is criticize, get angry, and have no foundation of Marxist methodology to analyze a problem. He doesn't look at things from a class struggle point of view, from a materialist or dialectic point of view. He just have like this analysis that comes out of his emotions. He's out of touch with reality. He's a millionaire that has benefited from exploiting the movement. I think at a certain point, after you make a basic income and can sustain yourself at a standard level for your society, the rest of your resources should be applied to further the socialist cause. You shouldn't be like this guy, a millionaire with a mansion, $3 million mansion and a Porsche. That is just excessively and disgusting. He's like those mega church preachers that preach about poverty, humbleness, and following Jesus, and then they have like $4,000 sneakers and yachts and helicopters. This guy also, I saw a video of him talking about a riot. So a streamer had called for a meeting where he would give out PS5s to a bunch of teenagers. So these middle-class teenagers went there. The meeting got out of control, and they started to bash the newsstand of a common working-class person. And all this Hassan Abi was mad about is that the media made a big deal about this guy being in danger, his business being destroyed, a business that you don't make rich of. Is barely, you barely make it to ends meet or sustain yourself with a newsstand. Hassan Abi's totally disconnected from the people, the working class people. He's garbage. He's a piece of garbage. If you listen to this guy, your level of political education is pretty low, almost probably non-existent. You probably dislike capitalism, but you have no methodological framework to understand what's wrong about capitalism in reality, in its roots. You lack basic Marxism, Leninism. You lack basic knowledge of theory. And you need to start reading. Stop listening to this guy. He will harm you. This guy is everything that's bad with the movement. So D tier any leftist YouTuber that will misguide you, that has very, very incorrect views, that on purpose benefits from the movement and has no ethics. Next guy is Caleb Mopan. Caleb Mopan is a very, very boring content creator, and that's not his worst fault. I mean, I can take boring. What I cannot take is dishonest or pro-fascist. So Caleb Mopan he loves the sound of his own voice, really makes long videos about talking about nothing. I cannot stand him, but his worst fault is that he associates himself with fascists. He associates himself with people who think as long as you oppose the system, it doesn't matter what ideology you have. You can be a right-winger pro-conspiracy theorist with the craziest of views, the most unscientific point of view. But if you're against the United States, then Caleb Mopan will join forces with you. Caleb Mopan has been seen with Eugenists, we are pro-fascist Russians. His views on the Russian war are extremely incorrect. They're not based on a Marxist analysis of the Russian war. He kind of has just a pro-Russia view. And I kind of understand that if you live in the United States, you need to put context in the Russian war and tell people, Russia is not the only evil guy. It's a inter-capitalist war with local Ukrainian bourgeoisie, with the NATO pro-capitalist alliance and the pro-Russian, pro-capitalist power trying to divide certain area of the world. And, it's geopolitics at a capitalist level. But you cannot just say, Russia is the good guy. And Russia has a lot of fascist elements in its government. The Wagner mercenaries, there are a lot of people involved in that who are openly pro-fascist. So if you listen to Caleb Mopan, I feel sorry for you, because at least Hassan is a complete clown idiot with incorrect views. But Caleb Mopan has the knowledge, has the theory. He just is absolutely disgusting as a person, and a person he associates with. He associates with fascists of all kinds, and that's disgusting, just to get a platform. Next guy has infrared. I didn't know this idiot until I saw a critique from Socialism for All about this Has guy. So he's disgusting. He's like, if you mix very, very low level knowledge of Marxism with pro-patriotic, pro-USA, pro-racist kind of views, he's like a MAGA communist. He's like if a Trump follower got all his conspiracy theories mixed with fascism and leftism. So he kind of is a mix. He will use Marxist talking points to promote a pro-conservative, pro-fascist point of view. And this guy is disgusting. He's more concerned about apple pie, the American flag, the FBI, and the police, defending all those disgusting tools of the capitalist state, than into Marxism-Leninism. Again, he has terrible grasp of Marxist-Leninist theory. I saw a debate that Jason O'Rourke had with this guy Has, and Has came as worse than a complete idiot. I mean, he had no real knowledge of theory. He's concerned about his own image more than anything. Again, this low tier D is people who benefit from the movement and have no intention of furthering Marxism, Leninism, or Marxism at all. So Has, he's almost I would say like an undercover cop. Almost, that's how idiotic his views are. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like related to any of that, a complete idiot. Once he has that, in the debate he had with Jason was defending the right of Native Americans to express their grievances and receive reparations for all the damage they received from the United States government. And Has was defending the United States government, and he's made some ridiculous, absurd point that if Jason was so concerned about the Native Americans, he should share his apartment with a Native American. How much of an idiot you have to be to bring out this point? How much of a complete idiot? And not only an idiot because you can clearly tell the argument is idiotic and unrealistic. But wanting to destroy a valid concern, which is the state of the Native American situation currently, and what should we as Marxists do to help them, to help their cause and hear their grievances, instead of putting out any intelligent contribution to that, you decide to try to bring the argument down by being childish and stupid. That's like a typical capitalist talking point when you say, social justice should be brought into the system. The system is a class system that should be destroyed. And they say, well, if you don't like capitalism, get out of the United States. That's how dumb their argument is. Even dumber, because saying that you should share your apartment with Native American, and that would be the same as acknowledging decades or even centuries of exploitation and genocide. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you listen to this guy, you're a complete idiot. I'm sorry. If you listen to any of these guys, you have no knowledge of theory. You just like to get angry at the system. You have no scientific output. You probably don't read or are lazy. You listen to any of these three guys here, you are on the wrong path, on the wrong track, and you should correct yourself. Start reading, stop listening. C tier guys are guys that these guys should be higher up. Sorry, I haven't ordered the list yet. I wanted just to talk about the guys individually. So C tier is content that is Marxist, but not really in depth, not really with enough format or time to really develop the important questions of Marxism, Leninism. So all TikTok Marxist, I think that because of the platform, because of the short length format, it doesn't really allow to provide you with consistent fundamental education that you need to grow as a Marxist-Leninist. There is no such thing as a quick summary of Marxism-Leninism. Marxism-Leninism is a science, and as with any science, it has a methodology, and it requires hours and hours and years of study. And they should promote that. They should promote that you read more. But again, I think they're very, very concerned with the current political situation, with getting to the young people. But TikTok as a platform, I think is harmful. I don't use TikTok. Maybe I'm too old for that, but I don't understand. I think it's a dopamine hit. It creates addiction. It creates some toxic environment, and it's not a positive environment to discuss deep political economy issues. You will not get in-depth knowledge from TikTok. The most you will be bombarded with unrelated data, one after the other, and leave you in a daze confused. You should, instead of watching TikTok, you should spend 10 minutes a day reading a book about Marxism. It will bring you more benefit. So all TikTok creators, unfortunately, despite of the level of some theory, they fall here. What I've seen of them is not that great. It's not that bad either, but they lack enough knowledge to create the quality content that you need to grow as a Marxist. Next guy is Midwesternmarx. Again, he's a TikToker. I've seen some good TikTokers. Again, they have some good points, but the format that they chose to give out their message, I think, is counterproductive to what they're trying to say, because they are trying to talk about deep stuff. And TikTok, you should use it more to talk about events, news events, what's going on in some part of the world. But you cannot give a good analysis of anything or go in depth, go into sources. You're just bombarding people, and that's, I think, a little bit counterproductive. Midwesternmarx is, again, also, he supports Cornel West candidacy for presidency, and Cornel West is not a Marxist. At most, he's a liberal with some leftist notions, but at the end of the day, Cornel West had even openly praised Ronald Reagan, the most disgusting pro-capitalist human being there has ever been. if you support Cornel West, that really just reflects on your lack of proper theory, proper Marxist analysis of a political situation. You cannot even tell when you should participate in bourgeois politics to further the socialist cause versus when you get entangled in bourgeois politics despite of the socialist cause. So that's why he belongs here in this TikTok tier of content creators. It won't harm you to listen to him, although he has some incorrect views about Cornel West, and I think he has a little bit of influence of MAGA communism, like this kind of sense of a patriotic view, of a pro-USA view, of a pro-Russian view of socialism. But I haven't listened to enough of his content to be clear what his stance is on the Russian war. But it sounds to me, from what I've heard of him, that he has a very Colette Maupin point of view where he's pro-Russian in the conflict. I don't know, so at this point, he belongs to his tier. CPGBML, Communist Party of Great Britain, Marxist Leninists, they have very, very good educational content. I mean, they have excellent grasp of theory. They read. They actually do the reading. They organize their people. The reason I think they belong to a C tier is because they associate with Colette Maupin. They have a pro-Russian view. They don't make really good criticism, I think, of certain aspects of other socialist states like China and stuff like that. I mean, I think they're afraid to, they're still stuck in the Cold War where anything that is anti-USA they should support, and they should call it Marxist when it's not necessarily Marxist. So although they have very good educational content on historical positions or dialectics, I think some of their views are very, very incorrect. And because they associate with Colette Maupin openly, they haven't criticized him. They haven't looked into his association with the fascist movement in both the USA and Russia. I think that's one of the reasons they belong to the C tier, or maybe even the D tier. Maybe even the D tier. You know, they have real good educational content, but their views are so suspect on the Russian war that I kind of don't trust them. A tier and B tier. I think B tier, Yugopnik is a solid creator, good knowledge, but his content I think is declining. He makes videos about, now he's making videos about, I think his latest video was about fashion in the Nazi party, and that's a great historical entertaining video, but it doesn't further any educational profound knowledge of Marxism, Leninism. I think he's more into it, into entertaining people from a leftist perspective, into what are young people into, what they would like to listen to, instead of facing the great issues of Marxism, Leninism, instead of analyzing situations with proper political context. I think he's doing well. I think he's successful. He has videos about not feeling bad for living well under capitalism, but some of his points are not really that clear. I don't think you should feel bad for living in capitalism. Your first duty is first surviving the system that is trying to kill us and enslave us, but you should have an ethics that is based on Marxism, Leninism, that allows you to see that there is an extent and a limit in which you should participate in the system. You cannot be a landlord or a millionaire and say, you know, that I'm not involved in capitalism. That's not true. If you're a person like Hassan Abi, who owns a $3 million mansion and a Porsche and has made all that money just talking about leftism, you are harming the movement, because as an individual, you have an ethical responsibility to Marxism, Leninism, to represent it and further it as much as you can with all your resources. I don't mean give to charity. Charity is the most disgusting tool of capitalism. The way that capitalists calm their conscience for all the evil that they do, and all these millionaires that give to charity, whether they are leftist or rightist, all they're trying to do is calm their conscience. They don't look at the root causes. They don't want to end the system. They don't talk enough about ending the system of exploitation. So if you become a millionaire just for talking about leftism, I think if you don't use the majority of that resource to further the communist cause, then all you are is a hypocrite. There is a limit into what you should be, exploiting from other people. Even they willingly give you that money. It's like you're using a platform in capitalism, giving some incorrect analysis, some disgusting views, and still you call yourself a leftist when you're a millionaire, when you're living in a mansion, when you don't know the people, when you don't relate with working people, when you don't really are involved in their daily life, in their movement, when you don't give anything back, then I have a problem with you. There are a lot of uneducated leftist Marxists that are so involved that they think that any critique of a leftist, it means you're a right winger. No, I'm a Marxist-Leninist, and I'm telling you, from a Marxist-Leninist point of view, if Lenin had the resources that Sanabi had, he would spend 99.9% in furthering the communist cause, and so would any Marxist, because we're not in this for the money. We're in this because there is a scientific truth that we have discovered, and that is that capitalism is death, that we live in a class society, and Marxist-Leninism is the only doctrine for the liberation of the proletariat. And that's it. So Yugobnik, good. I think he has good knowledge of theory. His content, entertaining. Not that important, I think, in the big context of socialism. I think he's more and more focusing on being entertaining, and that's why he's in a B tier. But if you listen to Yugobnik, you probably have some good concepts of Marxism and have read a couple of books. Jason Unruh on the A tier. So if you listen to Jason, you have been in the movement for a while. You probably have read a few more books, and Jason I really respect. I mean, he has great analysis, great analysis on so many subjects. Like he did a great video on the relationship between men and women under capitalism, how capitalism is making enemies of the men and women in society, how they're focusing them on superficial things, on criticizing women when they do this and that, and women criticizing men when they're doing this and that, and how capitalism wants to create enemies out of us to keep us separated. He also has great contributions and critique on the trans issue. Jason, as a self-admitted member of the LGBT community, has some great insight on transgenderism. I think that he's brave enough to not fear the backlash. Just because you can contribute with an analysis on something doesn't mean you have to be against it, but you can question it. You can question how much has capitalism influenced the views that we should have on certain aspects of transgenderism when it's taken as an actual movement that should be respected, versus as a capitalist propaganda tool for feeling well about yourself. It's just like charities. Like every time Pride Month comes, capitalist industries jump on it, and the real meaning of it gets lost. So I think Jason is an excellent contributor, great grasp on theory. The reason I put him in the A tier and not the S tier is because his content is not consistent. I mean, he doesn't put, I think, enough effort on creating his videos. And that's unfortunate because he has some great insights. I think his personal life is also getting in the way, and I understand that you cannot devote your whole life to YouTube if it doesn't give you a sustainable wage. And I hope Jason for the best. I love his content and I love his channel. So he's really, really good. But because of the quality of his videos, I put him in the A tier. If you listen to Jason, you probably have a middle to advanced knowledge of Marxist theory. The S tier. Let's start with a guy considered one of the GOAT. Finnish Bolshevik, one of the greatest Marxist-Leninist channels, or the greatest. I think that his knowledge of theory is excellent. His videos are to the point, clear, educational, purposely well edited, well redacted. He expresses his points very, very well. He is not concerned with the spotlight. He's not concerned with being popular. He's concerned with expressing his views on Marxism and Leninism and to further the Marxist-Leninist cause. And his content is amazing, just amazing. If you are a communist and you listen to Finish Bolshevik, you probably have an advanced knowledge of theory or mid to advanced. This guy, top-notch creator. Another guy, let's see, Socialism for All. This guy is fairly new. I think in the last 5 years I haven't heard of him until recently, and maybe the last year or 2 years. But I think his channel is currently the best channel for Marxist-Leninist theory, for political analysis, and there are a couple of reasons for that. So this guy, Socialism for All, he's an older guy, which means he has lived, experienced more in the movement. He has belonged to different organizations from right here in his channel. He has struggled with different problems, organizing and being part of movements. He has read his theory. The amount of audiobooks that this guy produces is huge. And because he reads them himself, you can tell that he has the knowledge. So that's amazing. He basically started his channel to deepen his knowledge and theory, to read more, and I think he has achieved that and more. I mean, his analysis on current situations is very, very good. I think he's the best channel for current political Marxist analysis, and he should have more views. So Socialism for All, great, amazing channel. You should listen to him. He has amazing critiques of Haas, amazing critique of Hasanabi, amazing critique of all these three disgusting characters called Maupan. So he has a really good grasp on theory, experience, a mature knowledge, a mature way of thinking. He doesn't jump into conclusions. One point I'm going to critique about him is that one time he mentioned he wasn't 100% against prostitution. And that's a good, interesting topic. I should think he should bring that up, because I am 100% against prostitution in any way, shape, or form that money comes into play in interpersonal relationships, sexual or romantic, into human beings. I think that's a form of manipulation. So I don't think there is a sex worker trade. I think there is a sex exploitation trade and should be eliminated. But I would be interested in hearing his point of views, because from Marxist-Leninist perspective, very, very clearly, prostitution is a capitalist form of exploitation. So this guy Hassan even went to a brothel, a strip club. I think you as a Marxist cannot participate in prostitution in any way, shape, or form, either a customer or a client. Alexander Kollontai had said long ago that prostitution demeans both the buyer or the seller of the good of who play into this interaction of buying a human being for a period of time to satisfy sexual pleasure. It's demeaning for both the buyer and the person being sold. So you can tell how piece of shit Hassan Abi is when he calls himself a leftist, but frequents or has been into a brothel or a strip club or any of these places. You as a Marxist, as a committed Marxist, need to understand the theoretical justification for eliminating this type of places. So, but Socialism for All, S-tier channel, great analysis. He doesn't like controversy, so I think he avoids certain types of themes, and that's fine with me. Politstorm, another S-tier channel. I think they have great analysis on the Russian war. I think they also have good historical videos. They seem to have very good grasp on theory. Politstorm is fairly new channel, I think, as well. I'm not sure, but I really enjoy their content as well. They belong to the S tier, I think. They keep producing quality content, so it's an amazing channel. I really enjoy listening to them. Hakim, I would put him in the S tier, but here's why I think he belongs to the A tier. He has great knowledge of theory. He knows his theory, but his view, I think, is severely fundamentally incorrect on his views on religion, because Lenin specifically said that religion was a private matter when it comes to the state. Like every citizen has a right to a religion. The state has no religion and will not promote any religion. But as it relates to the party, religion is not a private matter. When it relates to the official party, the party line is that we are Marxist-Leninists, we're atheists, we promote materialism, dialectical materialism, and we cannot accept the idealist notion of something eternal, of something beyond the material world. And the reason is not that he has a religion because he's a Muslim, but that's not the issue. The issue is you can be a Muslim, belong to a party, as long as you don't promote your religion and as long as you accept to promote dialectical materialism and atheism as in the context of Marxism-Leninism. I mean, we're not here to convince people to change their religion. We're here to convince people to participate in the class struggle and to educate them in dialectical materialism, historical materialism, etc. But the whole thing I have a problem with Hakim is that his videos are great, but he has a view in which he has openly said that he does not believe in dialectics. He believes dialectics are a lie and they were just like a philosophical justification that Marx had to come up with just to justify his political beliefs. And I think he's wrong because for a Marxist-Leninist, dialectics is a way to understand the world. It's a natural law of development of all living things, including animals, plants, human beings. Dialectics is best reflected on concepts like evolution when you have a cumulative sorry, I'm not great with English, so I'm hard to like translate this at the moment, but it's qualitative changes that come about because of quantitative changes. Like when enough quantitative changes accumulate in an organism, then a qualitative leap will happen. That's how dialectics understand evolution. So for a Marxist-Leninist, dialectics is not just an idea, but it's a reflection of the observation of nature. So dialectics exist in nature independent of the human mind. And this is something that Hakim rejects. Hakim rejects dialectics, and I think the fundamental reason he rejects dialectics is because dialectics state that everything is in constant change, nothing is eternal. And for a religious person, God is eternal. God doesn't change, God is there forever, and God exists beyond the material world. So if you believe in dialectics, basically it contradicts everything you know about religion. You know, materialism, dialectical materialism, and religion are not compatible, and you cannot make them compatible. So because of his views of rejecting dialectical materialism and because of his views of how you can be religious and Marxist-Leninist in a party context, not in a societal context, that which you can, but in a party context, he's kind of trying to argue that a Marxist-Leninist party can be a Muslim party or a Christian party. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely not a Marxist-Leninist point of view. So that would be my analysis. I hope you enjoyed. If you listen to S tier, good for you. Great if also you do for A tier and B tier with a critical mind. All these are great. When you're starting just to focus on C tier, you're a little bit lazy. You don't like to read. You like your just facts and data, but you really don't go in depth. You should start reading more. And if you listen to the tier, you're listening to the wrong people. You're being misled into patriotism, fascism, liberalism, laziness, lies, pessimism. You really don't believe in any substantial change in capitalism. You don't believe that capitalism can be destroyed or should be overcome. You're just a little bit lazy, and you're being harmed mentally by listening to any of these idiots here. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. Remember to subscribe.